G'day folks, how are you? It's Michael here. I want to talk about my setup of my bike that I've just done. It's a 25 KTM 500 EXC F setup for light adventure. I want to talk a little bit about what I've done and why, and what I've found on some of the parts. A little bit about me. I'm, getting on a bit now in my 50s, but still very quick. In fact, very, very quick compared to most even young guys, so I'll get along well. But this bike, I really wanted to be able, I wanted to be able to explore the country and not be held up by anything, or even if I go with younger guys and they've got, 500s or 450s or 300 KTMs and keep up with them, no problem. This thing will do it easily. It's very quick. It's incredible traction. I love about it, which is amazing. But I should talk a little bit about what my plans are. So as you can probably see at the back, I've got a big van. Plan is with this is to head out through high country Victoria, say Dargo, and in New South Wales through Kosciuszko, and my wife will be, parked there by a river somewhere, and I wanted a bike light enough so I could put on the back of the moto thing here at the back and set up on the back of that and have it so I can, have it light enough and take it to wherever. It's four-wheel drive and full, diff lock, all that sort of stuff. So it's pretty cool. But anyway, that was the idea. This is why I bought it. I went to a 701. I tried it out. It just seemed really heavy. And one of the things I really didn't like about it is the steering. It was like this goes all the way to there. The 501 will probably go to about there. Sorry, 701 goes about there. So it's really hard to get in and out. You've got to do like 3 or 4 point turns. It's probably close to there. It's bizarre. So this is small and light enough that you can just grab it from the grab handles and just throw it around. It's nice and easy, which I love. But more importantly is I don't want to get stuck somewhere and not be able to pick the thing up. So, I'll have it land on me and so on. So anyway, so I thought I'd give you a little bit of review, what I've done and why. There's a lot of parts that you'll see that are put on other bikes, but things I've actually deliberately deleted or not put on, or maybe putting on later, which I'll explain as well. So we'll go through all that as we chat. All right, so I'm in my 50s now, so I don't want to have too much of a big heavy-duty bike. And I'm not really interested in riding on the road. So 95% of the time I want to ride on the dirt. So this is, again, the reason why I bought it. Okay, so I'll go a little bit about it. Obviously, the first thing you want to do is get a decent tank on it. This is 15 litres. The bike weighed 108.5 kilos before I started. By the time I've added the tower, the tablet, the 8 litres extra fuel, 7.5, 8 litres for extra fuel, and the cush drive, it added about 11.5 kilos, and the molecule bash plate. So that was about 11.5 to 12 kilos. So it's about 127.5 I worked out with full of fuel. So it's not bad for and that will give you get about a 7.5, you do about 137k. So you get about 260 to 270k out of a tank if you're just not ripping throttle too hard. But if you're cruising along at sort of high country sort of riding, it's pretty easy to do that. You can probably knock off 20-30k of that if you're really on the gas, but 250 is pretty easy on that. So something to think about. All right, so first thing is I put a good seat on it. Actually, that worked out really well. It's been really comfortable. It's actually starting to bed in as you ride it a bit more. I'm actually thinking about unpicking it and getting this high viscosity stuff that I can get through my job through surgical sales and put it underneath it. It might raise it a bit. Might check it out, but it will give that little bit extra softness. Not that I need it too much. The bash plate is on, which is nice and light. I wouldn't go an aluminium plate if I was you guys. I would just put a plastic one that's really strong, and it doesn't make noise when you're hitting rocks. I was going to go a bigger tank with the thing underneath here, or a longer one from Rebel X, but the problem is getting to the oil. It's a real pain in the neck, so I'd rather carry an extra 2 or 3 litres of oil, fuel if I needed to, but to get to the filters, it's a pain in the neck. So, and to be honest, look, when I have this completely full with 15 litres, or when it's got 2 or 3 litres and I top it back up, I don't even notice the difference. So it's actually a little bit narrower, believe it or not, when you're from here. That point on the left there is narrower than the standard KTM. The KTM comes out to about there. So it's actually narrower here. You don't feel any of this here. So it's actually really quite good. Put a little breather thing on it because I didn't want the hoses down there. It always sort of comes and flies off. So I took it off and just put that on it. The cush drive is absolutely essential, and it really makes a difference. I bought this from an Australian company who were called Axim, I think they're called. I think they're a knockoff of every other brand as far as the billet hubs go. They've got 2 bearings on the one side, on the drive side, and a single there. I balanced them out. I've also got in there tyre pressure sensor monitors, which hook up to my sat nav thing, with actually gives you the temperature of the tyre as well as the pressure. So when these get hot, after 20 minutes or so of riding, I've got them at 9 psi. These will go up to 10, 11, 12 psi when they get real hot, which is surprising. So something to be aware of when you're taking off. Never knew that before, of all these years of riding. The KTM here in Australia comes de-restricted, so they're pulling up to 64 horsepower. I've got no idea how true that is, but they're de-restricted, so there'll be at least 60 horsepower. So I've got a whole set of wheels that I can swap over from when I'm on dirt and more wet orientated tyres. These are more road, but I do run the cush drive. I added this to have extra length, but I will be putting an extra, there's a brand out there, I can't remember what brand it is, which has a something underneath here, and it captures all the oil sort of filings, whatever, which is pretty good. So it's like a filter within a filter. It causes a magnetic trap under it, so I'm going to put one of those on. I think you get it from Australian Adventure Company, what are they called? That's pretty good. I'm going to do things with the suspension I'll talk about in a minute. Front end, there's nothing really there. I've got these Canyon Dancer things, which are really good for when you strap it down. I will be taking on a trip this week, so I'll be using those rather than have things coming through here or up through here. It's a bit of a pain. So it just keeps, especially when the bike's muddy, you can just clip onto that and nothing's touching. I found that on my 250 cross-country bike, that the straps, when they get mud on, it just becomes abrasive and it takes all the shine and everything off it, which I don't like. I didn't need anything about radiator guards because this is essentially a big guard here, so I didn't bother to put anything on it. I've never really had a bent guard in my life, radiators in my life, really. What else have I got on this side? Nothing. It comes with a fan. I got rid of all the little stupid things on the back here, and I put these beautiful, cool little indicators. I don't know how roadworthy they are, but they're literally twice the brightness of the original ones. I'll turn it on, I'll show you. Pretty cool, pretty bright. Okay, so what else have I done? So on this side there is, I didn't put those, I was going to put the little thingos on the back here, but I didn't bother to put them on because I find that actually, you can tape that. What you should do is if you put a cover, you should tape it either with gaffer tape or something and cover it completely. So take the wheel off, wrap it around, and then put your black plastic on it. Otherwise, dirt gets in there and it rubs and it actually becomes worse worse than what you're trying to achieve in the first place. So something to be aware of. I probably will end up doing that anyway, but I will get a fin guard as well. Not that I'm riding anything hard with this bike. Okay, so I have got the double tape mirrors on it, which are really good. I've got the KTM bleeder valves. These are the only ones. Where's my finger? Can't find it. Here it is. These are the only ones that really work, especially with what I'm doing. They're really, because a lot of times you've got to go up higher to press them down. So just by here, I can just push them down. I prefer these three-way things that you can get as well, just to flip the compression rebound. That's pretty cool. I've got for the Rebel X tower, now that's added, by the time I took off all the wiring and stuff that was there before in the original and added that to it, it's added 2 kilos, literally exactly to the weight. Now, if you notice, the weight is here and there. So that weight is essentially felt and experienced right here. It doesn't feel like there's any weight at all on it, but when I do ride my 250, which is a lot lighter bike, you can notice that the whole bike is probably 10% more, but it's probably about 5% in the difference between the two bikes when you actually feel them ride side by side. Obviously got the Rebel X thing. I'll put those indicators on, you can see it here as well. Light up, put it on, hang on a second. So they work really cool. Oh man, I had to move them back as well, so if you drop the bike, you don't want things to, I had them originally there. So I had them originally here, and they were kind of, if you drop the bike, they got in the way, so I moved them back. I've noticed too, so that's all set up nicely. I'll show you about this in a minute. The way I've set my bars and everything up here, to me, I'm really pedantic about this. So this is, the key with this switch is to have that nut quite loose. So you need to put a little bit of Loctite in there so it holds it. And then that becomes nice and easy to move. When I'm in this position here, you can see naturally my thumb, I can zoom in and out quite easily, and I can touch this quite easily while I ride, which moves my positioning around on the navigation system. I also moved this across to here. I flipped this over. I think it's stupid the way KTM normally bring them with the button upside down. So when I'm standing in this position and my hands are here, the easiest position is to be my thumb level. That's where you want your on-off switch. So I flip this upside down, because otherwise you're down here and it seems awkward. So from here it's easier. I have my bars relatively, not level, but level is about here. So they're down on a bit of an angle. The reason why is because what happens is, and this was a motocross thing, a lot of guys were rolling and snapping their wrists, because if you have this low like that, what actually happens is when you're under brake and if your hands are here, your arms or your under braking force, you're likely to roll over. But if your hands are relatively level, you're actually causing a lot of the braking resistance to be tucked in here in this part of your palm. So that's really important to know. So if I stand up on it, I'll see if I can stand up with my phone in my hand. I'll come back around again. So when you're on that position, it actually creates a lot of it's a natural way of holding the bike and yourself. That's a big tip, really important thing to do. Going on to this little gadget here, I'll just turn this on. This is the DMD2 NOR 7E. So it's an absolute cracker of a device. So what I'll show you here, hopefully we can see it pretty good there. So you've got all kinds of screens here that you can use. That was my trip the other day, which I did. It's amazing with gloves, it makes no difference. I can zoom in and out from the screen here, and this gives me all my information. But I use, so going back to here, you can have all, Google Maps, you can have Wikiloc, which I use, you can use Waze, you can use other new tracks and whatever you want, radar. So if I hit the radar, it'll give me a breakdown of what's going on in here. It's pretty bad lighting in here. See if I can, actually, I'll just make it a bit brighter. So now I can see in here, I've got all my radar. There's nothing happening there, which is pretty good. It gives me temperature, it gives me when the rain's coming, at what time and so on, where I am in Warburton. And there's no rain on the radar at all at the moment. I might have to move the screen and do another review of that some other way. Hang on, let me do it this way. Okay. One of the other things I really like about it as well is that I can use this thing here called a DMD2 app. And in here, I run, it's telling me there's fires. I can see my screen on a big scale. It tells me which way to go as far as on the next turn off, how many meters before the next turn off, all the information you need. But I've also got, quick touch things on there. I can set up my fuel. You can zero the fuel before you trip. So this obviously doesn't have a fuel gauge, but I know that when I did exactly 7.5 litres, I did 137 Ks. So now I'll get about 260. So I made that about 270 Ks. I can re-click that and reset it. All the vital information on the hour, every 2 hours when the weather's going to change, where my maps are, where everything is. I can also set up things like, fuel stops. Hang on, sorry about that. Fuel stops or, accommodation, whatever you want. It's all on there. It's just a really cool little app, device. It's all part of the machine. I can also have quick touch things in here for zoom in and out, but I don't need it because I use it off that. I can lock the screen by doing that. Now it doesn't matter what happens or rain, nothing affects it, which is really good. I can have one long press on here on the red button, and I've set that up for SOS as well as, which gives me an automatic pinpoint on the global satellite pinpoint. Whether you're online or not, it'll do it. So it has the online feature there, but it has inbuilt maps and it does it by satellite. So you don't need a SIM card to run it, which is really cool. But I do run it anyway because I can use Google, and I can use, if I want to jump on YouTube or whatever when I'm at a place or whatever I want to do, which is pretty cool. But you can actually look at all these locations, maps and everything, fuel stops, everything, whatever you want, without being online on this device, because it's all input into the mapping system for wherever you are around the world, which is incredible and super easy to set up for a trip as well, which maybe another time I'll show you that. I've got a voltmeter down below as well here, which is really handy with a USB and USB-C charge. I don't know what else there is to say, but give you a little bit of review on the actual bike and what it does and how it handles. The suspension, believe it or not, is doing really well. Even if it's at stock standard, I'm about 83, plus all my gear, which is about 93. And the bike, I've added an extra 12 kilos. So in theory, it shouldn't be holding up, but I have no idea why, but it's actually holding up well. And I ride it pretty aggressively. I've got a cross-country two-stroke, and I actually can go further on the jumps on this bike, believe it or not. So suspension is good, but I will respring it to my weight, and I'm probably going to get a slight adjustment on the mid-valve on the front, even though it does a great job. Because I'm not intending to ride this bike flat out like I do on my 250. So for that reason, I don't want it to change its characteristics, which is really, really plush and smooth. And you go over rocks and things that you literally don't feel a thing. I could go over a rock the size of my hand, a stick, a branch on the ground, and you don't even feel it. It's just amazing suspension. So that's pretty good. This is a real important thing to put on as well, is have an ignition key. That's really important, I find, because you know you can also use the other key here and get rid of take that with you just by pulling that out and take that off with you. You want to go and have something to eat for your stop. I think that's really important. There is a steering lock which I never really put on it. People sort of say there's no point because it'll be snapped off if you need to. But what I'll do is I'll run one of those little locks for the disc. So when I stop somewhere, I just lock it on if I'm going to be, having something to eat for an hour or so, which I did the other day. I do that. Apart from that, unbelievable to ride. Really good on the jumps, incredible for handling as it is stock standard. Even with my weight and what I've got on it, it doesn't really need. I was going to put 7500 suspension on the front and bladder on the back, but it's just so good. I find that the PDS shock compared to the linkage, because of the nature of that angle, when you hit something square edged, my linkage shock, because the shock's running this way, it literally feels like you're hitting something like that. But when you hit things on the same angle with this one, it feels like it's been hit here in relevance to the sensation you get. It's because it's more angled, it feels way less impactful on the rear, and it just rolls over things beautifully. Well, another thing I do just for the care and maintenance on this bike is I actually, after I clean it, I get my air blower and I blow all the gear off, all the water off it, because it just stops it from staining, which is a bit of a good tip to do. It takes an extra few minutes, but it has a bit of oil overspray that I put on it just to keep the metals bright. But that's a really important tip to do. When I do some bigger trips, I'm going to change that over and put the bigger oil reservoir on it. I'm also putting the service, I can't remember what they're called, they're ranch something, whatever they are. They're just, you see them on all the adventure bikes that you see in the Dakar, which is like a short thing here with a higher lip on it. But they're all plastic. But you can get the same ones with a steel, with an aluminium bar that goes through. Why that's important is, and I don't normally like running bark busters, but if and when you drop this bike, this tends to fold all in, and it'll all fold out of the way, and then even part of your grips will go in the dirt, which means that the angle from here, when that's locked in, from here to that front wheel, becomes somewhere around here. And sometimes if things are in the way, it can hit the screen. But by having the bark busters coming around, or the service ones coming around, it actually creates a bigger triangle gap in here, and it will protect the screen and keep it from getting damaged. So something to be aware of. So that's a good idea. Is there anything else? I just think it's a great bike. It's really, really good. Amazing bike to ride. It's the ultimate thing to ride, honestly. I wouldn't buy a 701. I think that it's just overkill. You don't need to have a big bike. It makes it harder gives you more opportunity to stack it. It's just easy to handle, way easy to manage. Going about the screen, this is a big deal. So I was going to buy, there was a carbon version of from this brand, which would have brought the screen up to about here or so. What I found is that when I'm sitting on the bike and I pause somewhere, and let's say I'm just trying to get, in and out and move around and change the direction because I've got to do a U-turn or something, having a bigger screen would have been an absolute pain in the neck. It would have made it feel bigger, and it would have made it more cumbersome and harder to maneuver when you're moving the bike out of tight and situations. So by having a small screen and having it all clear as well up the top, so it doesn't look overly too bad. I don't love it, but it's okay. But what it does, it means that I can see straight through, and my line of sight is literally like that. I can see the tip of the nose of the fender quite easily. So that's a really important thing, I find. Very important. That was a masterstroke. And when my head is, so when I sit and ride this bike on the road or going through, fire trails, which is not technical, I might just be sitting on it, which I never ever used to do, to be honest. But now that I do, I find that my head's about here and the wind goes right across and my whole shoulders down is all covered from that little screen. Can you believe it? I get nothing at all. No wind at all. Just my chin and above on the helmet on a seating position gets affected by the wind. So it does a great job. So a little screen, well designed, well deflection, like it really does deflect out. And these corners really make a big difference. So well thought out to the guys that designed that. What else? I don't know. I'm going to just do the suspension a little bit more. The oil thing. And that's about it. So anyway, that's all I have to share with you guys. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, definitely ask me. Oh, the tyres, I ended up going with a Michelin Starcross 6 front and back. That's a medium hard. I've done about 800 Ks on this tyre, I reckon, and it's holding up well. I don't love it. It's a good compromise, like all things. I wanted to get a tyre that would do about 2,000 Ks. I think this is probably a bit too hard for that. It's probably going to give me 3,000 Ks, I reckon, which I don't want. I'd rather have a bit more grip, so I might go... The medium is the same compound with slightly smaller blocks here. That's a good size block for a 500 because it'll rip it off anyway. So, but I might find a slightly softer compound, and I don't love this tyre in the wet. It tends to, when I'm hitting logs, it tends to be a bit too hard a compound. So, but in the dirt and high country and all that, this combination is amazing. It's perfect, really. That is it, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed the video and hope it made a bit of sense. Yeah, if you have any questions, you know, feel free to give me a buzz, give me a call, send me a message. Yeah, that's all I have to share. All right, guys, God bless you guys, and chat soon. See ya.